Hi, all. I'm Dan Smagrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Wednesday, October 17th, 2018, and you're watching WGAN-TV live at 5. We have an awesome show for you today. It's about how to make money with 360 tours and make your competition irrelevant at the same time. Pretty powerful stuff. Hey, Ross. Good to see you. In our virtual studio today is Ross Zansucci. Ross is a Matterport service provider. He's in Grays Lake, Illinois. It's about an hour north of Chicago, just near the Wisconsin border. And Ross has been doing something so amazing, and I think for the last 4 months. Ross, tell us about your Grays Lake Grays Lake Village Center project.
It's a project that it actually started as a project for a commercial developer doing real estate for, he was doing he has office buildings all over the state, and he wanted some way to show off Matterport and drones together. So we came up with the thing I came up with was with 360 tours. And I created a panoramic of his office building area, and then did some links with a video. We did a drone video of the property, and then we also did a Matterport scan of his office as a test. And he liked that a lot, but he didn't like the 360 tour deal. He just wanted a video of a drone and going into the property. And so we did that project with him, and he liked all that, but I still like this whole idea of this 360 tour. So I said, this could also work with a community, I think, highlighting the community's business district and showing, creating a map or something that would show all the different businesses in the community, and people could click on them and look at what the 3D virtual tours, aerial drone videos, or any other kind of marketing materials they want for their business. So I approached the village of Grays Lake that I live in, and I approached the village manager, and who I happen to know. I also used to be, back in the 80s, I've been involved in this community for a long time, and back in the 80s, I was Chamber of Commerce president for a couple of years, and involved in the president of the JCs for a couple of years also. And so I knew the people in the village pretty well. And I presented this idea to them because it was just something, some of these only have their websites on them right now, Dan, because I haven't got to the point where we've actually done the scans yet. I've got like 15 of them lined up that I've got to do yet. So the one that I did the one you're looking at, that was one that's on the map that hasn't been scanned yet. So in the meantime, once they've signed up, I'll put them on the map, and then once all the scans and the videos and drone work is done, then we create a web page through WP3D models and put it on the map. If you click on this old book, which is down at the bottom left where you're looking, right? See the little, can I click on it? I don't know if it's this one. I don't know if you can see what I'm.
If you share screen, you want to share your screen?
Do that
instead? Okay, I'll stop sharing. You can share. So while Ross is setting up, let me see if I can paint a picture of what he's doing. He has a 360 aerial of Grays Lake Village Center, a historic district about an hour north of Chicago, and he is putting digital assets on this 360 aerial that include photos, video, Matterport, aerial, text, links, all kinds of things. And Ross, we'll get into this a little bit, but Ross actually charges an upfront fee for shooting and then recurring revenue, which is really the magic of this. So we'll get into a little bit more of the bigger picture, but maybe first, Ross, if you could give us a lay of the land, and let's take a look at Grays Lake Center.
Okay, well, if you can see the screen, this is the Grays Lake Village Center, which this is kind of a weird situation because they have, if you see the red line, this is they wanted a red line around what they consider their new village center, which they're promoting. which doesn't include all the businesses. There's a lot of business. If you look around here, all these businesses out here, these are all part of Grays Lake also. But and this one is the college, another business that just signed up, but he's way out there. Also College of Lake County, which is just outside. So we're working on ways to get those into the map too. But this is the main area, and they've got 400 plus businesses in this area inside the red line, which is their village center. And what I'm doing is going in, what we did originally was went in and scanned all of the village services like the fire department, the village hall, the senior center, the youth center, the heritage center, which is their museum, their village historical museum, the library, their aquatic center, their skate park, their senior center. And I scanned all of those at no charge for them and created aerial drone videos that combined the property with the scan, with the 360 tours. And if you click on any of the village, like the fire department or any of the other ones, you'll see those videos and all that stuff. So but then we also went into all of the businesses, and we just started this now because it just really started promoting the map about a month ago. And in the businesses we go in, like here is the one that we just did, which is called This Old Book, which is a small little bookstore in Grays Lake. And when you click on the link, this is kind of what we put together for them. It's got their the 3D tour, and every one of these pages has to look alike for the village. But these are all created with WP3D models. This one has their, you could click on this and see the 3D tour. They have a link to go back to the panorama. I put some music on there. And then this one also has, she didn't do a drone. This one only has the still pictures in addition to the 3D tour, which is here. The ones that we did the drone work with, the drone videos for, also had the 3D tours included. So this is her thing, and you can go through her store and just like anything. And I've been doing these for a while now with the village. So, and this is just going through her store, and it's almost like a submarine. It's all the businesses in this town are long and narrow. And actually, my business in this town, I had a photography studio in here for 30 years. When I first opened it, it was right next door to this store right here. Mm-hmm. That was in 1980. And actually went outside a little bit, and so you could see a little bit of the village out there too. But, and then if you click here, you can go back to the panorama. But if you go into one of the, like, let me see, here's the, here's the fire department. And this has a video. And this has a drone video also, which this one connects the this one runs kind of long. It's like 4 minutes, but
so let's go back to the map for return to panorama. Okay, terrific.
So anyway, and every one of the drones we did, any one of those village properties that we did, we always ended up the drone flying into the front door and then opening, and then the 3D tour starts. I created a YouTube video doing that, putting the drone and my Matterport. And that's what they really liked. And that's what's been selling a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm. So talk to me about your big picture vision for Grays Lake Village Center and for your company, 3 Rooms Scapes.
Well, the big picture is to get, as many people on this map as possible. My hope is to, by next summer, have about 70, 80 businesses sponsoring the map. You know, we charge a monthly fee. We give them 3 months free when they sign up. We charge a nominal fee to do the scanning. My thing is I'm not so concerned about how much I get up front for the scanning. I'm looking for the monthly fees. So I negotiate that. You know, I'll do it for $50 to scan their store if they'll pay the monthly fee. Because they usually, a lot of these retail businesses, 2 of them that I'm doing right now, and want to have it done 2 or 3 times a year as they change their store changes for the holidays and stuff, and they want to update. And so, and I charge them a little bit more the second time, because the first time I might have done it real cheap just to get them in, and if they liked it, then we raise that. But this is also new to that. Nobody's, I don't know anybody who's done this before, and I haven't had anybody to tell me how to, you know, price it, how to, you know, it's just all guesswork, quite frankly. And so, and they know that too. And I told them right up front, you know, this is a whole new concept that I just thought would work for the village. I said, yeah, that looks like it will work. Let's go with it. And I said, okay, it's going to take some, we're going to all learn as we go with this. And they were on board with that. So that helped a little. I didn't have to have everything locked down to start with. I just went in and said, here's an idea. Let's see what happens. And it took us about 3 months to get everything the way they wanted it, with the website and everything else. But so this is the way it's working, and they seem to be real happy with it. And I plan on using it as a model to a lot of other communities probably by the middle of next summer.
So summer of 2019, you hope to have not shy of 100 paid businesses, or 100 locations?
Hopefully 100 paid businesses, but I'm guessing there's probably going to be more like 70 or 80.
Okay,
You know, we'll see.
By summer of 2019, today's October 17th, 2018. So maybe about 8 months from now, you hope to have 60, 70, 80 monthly recurring revenue clients on the Grays Lake Village Center panorama.
And I will tell you that just from the experience I've had so far, you really need to be involved a little bit more in these communities, I think, or you have to get out there and meet the people to get them to, and show them. You have to get in there and show them what this is, because it's a visual thing. If they don't see it, it's hard for them to imagine it. So you have to get in the door. And I found, you know, I had a sales rep working in this for a while, but he was not local, and he was doing everything by phone. He wasn't getting very far. I took one day and I just walked down the street and just walked into every door on the main street, just left information, introduced myself. And within a half hour, an hour, I had 4 or 5 stores signed up, and a lot of interest. And I've been calling them, and booked about 4 or 5 more of the ones that I had left off, that I dropped off information to. So
you have some help. You have some help from Grays Lake Village Center from the talk.
Correct.
Talk to me a little bit about who those people are and why they were interested in your project and how you approached them initially.
Well, I called up the village manager, who I happen to know, and I hadn't talked to, though, in a long time. I hadn't talked to him. In fact, I was instrumental when I was president of the Chamber of Commerce of getting him hired 30 years ago. And I remember the first meeting I had with him, and I said, I don't expect you to be here more than a year, because I knew the mayor, and it was contentious. It was not a good situation back then, and he's still there. So it was good that he was the guy I talked to, and I met with him. I set up a meeting with him and the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and I just laid out. I had my computer with me, and I showed the basic layout. I just had one aerial shot of the village, and I went in and I had already taken scans of one of the main restaurants and one of the physical therapy business at no charge to just so I could put something on the map so I could show them what I was talking about. And they loved it. And they said, let's just, you know, they're going to promote it. The Chamber of Commerce promotes it pretty heavily. The village, they send lots of information out about it. They're promoting it on all their websites, all their Facebook pages. So it's, it's just taking a little bit of time, but they're getting all the information out there, and that's a big help. You have to have them on board.
What is why is that, and what is their motivation?
Well, their motivation is they're promoting a whole new project, and they're promoting their business district and all the businesses, and they're showing all their facilities that they have all in one place. Plus, they get a percent. I give them 10% back of everything that we do, so they have a incentive there of, if this turns out to be a good money maker on a monthly basis, they'll get something out of that. And their incentive is just to promote the village. This is just a whole new way that nobody's ever seen really before to do this.
Do they have at
least in this area? Maybe if somebody else is doing it around, but I don't know.
You were kind enough to share the 10%. Is that also on the upfront shooting fees as well? Is it any revenue or just the recurring revenue?
Right now, I set it up as any revenue.
Any revenue.
I may change that. The next project that may change, because I don't know how that's gonna shake out yet.
Okay. Is their motivation the money, or is their motivation is
I don't think so. I don't think that was an issue at all with them.
Their motivation is promote tourism, traffic, help the retail businesses in this district.
Right, and if I approached another village, that would be I would not throw that out there up front. I would, if that's something I would bring in later if it were necessary.
And if I hear you right, if you do go after more villages starting in summer of 2019, those are going to be communities that are around you that you're familiar with and have knowledge of the local area and the people. And I think what I'm hearing is that's an important piece. You can't be a carpetbagger that just parachuted into a town and go pitch this. You have to have had some roots in the community so that you're a known entity, perhaps even to have a little bit of the yeast to get the project going because you got friends and colleagues for a long time and they believe in you and trust you and say, yeah, Ross, I'm in.
Yeah, and I think once this is, proves itself, I'm not sure you have to be as I may not be as involved in a community 3 miles away. There is another community about 5 miles away that I had a photography studio in, but I was never really involved with them. So, but I would approach them, and I think then it's just a matter of getting into town and meeting the people and showing them, and maybe join. I would always join their chamber of commerce. Would join, would do whatever I can to promote back to the community too. Become. Start putting some effort into becoming part of the community, even if you're just outside the community, somewhat.
Mm-hmm. If I could oversimplify this, it sounds like you have two kinds of content from my perspective. One is paid monthly recurring revenue, and the other is free. Can you first talk about the free and why you're doing free content?
Well, the only free content I really did was for the village. I mean, I went in and offered to scan all their properties, whichever ones they wanted. They had about 8 or 10 that I eventually did, and do drone photography for all. But I did not. The drone photography they paid for.
Does fire department pay to be a part of this?
Not monthly, no. But none of the village services pay a monthly fee.
Yeah, so there's certain businesses, I don't even know if we call them businesses, but government entities, they're parks, recreation, things that are part of the community. I believe that's the kind of content that you're scanning for free in order to help make the destination of this map useful for the community to be able to check out resources in addition to the paid businesses.
Exactly. They paid for about 15 drone videos. So they've invested in it a little bit. I didn't give them any discounts on those. It was like $300 a video, and they just kept ordering. To the point where I'm actually, this year I paid a lot of money out in for drone photography. So here's what I would recommend: learn how to fly a drone and do your own drone photography. Which I just did. I just bought a new drone, a Phantom 4, whatever it is, 4 Pro 2, whatever. and I'm going to spend the winter learning how to do it because I'm tired of paying drone photographers to do this because I enjoy that kind of stuff anyway. So I'm going to just, you know, and you got to also realize I'm somewhat semi-retired. I'm not, I'm doing this maybe almost full time, but I back off a little bit. And so I don't want to get too crazy with what I'm, you know, with drones and everything else, but I enjoy doing that, and I'm going to hopefully figure out how to do it pretty well. And because I used to fly radio control.
Yeah, and I seem to recall your history is a very successful photographer with, I think, 25 people on staff at one point.
Yeah, still photography, but never. I was never really into video or drone or any of that kind of stuff. So that's kind of new for me. But.
Okay, so let's now move to the paid content. Is there any particular strategy in terms of what kinds of businesses you're approaching first? Is it restaurants? Is it retail stores? Is it
Well, in the beginning, like I said, the first two stores I did was a restaurant and a physical therapy place, because I know the restaurant was one of the more popular ones in town. And physical therapy, my wife has happened to be going there, and from surgery she recently had. So I knew the owner there, and he said, "Yeah, come on in." And so we did those two as a startup. But I don't really have any, you know, specific ones I'm going after at any one time. I'm just hitting everything I can, going, you know, street to street and door to door. And I've got, the village gives me all their, you know, I have email lists and phone numbers and everything else that I'm sending emails out and making phone calls. But I find the best way to really get people interested in this is to walk in the door with an iPad and show them, you know, and then they say, wow, you know, as soon as they say, wow, then you got it. You know,
and the chamber helped you in terms of here's the name of the business owner, or who is the chamber member. So you had at least when you walked into the business, you kind of knew you were looking for Jane or Jim or John or Sally or Sue.
Right, and they also send out letters explaining the whole project, talking about me and the business and what we're going to do, and you know. So they warmed everybody up, and they still keep sending out letters and emails, and I'm doing the same thing. So all of that is important. And another thing that's important is another great way to sell this is just make sure you put everything on your Facebook page. And I'm telling you, when I put one of these on my Facebook page, I can look at the stats on the Matterport cloud, look at the stats on that model, and they just, like, one of them was 900 some hits in one day, the day I put it on Facebook. And one lady that, like, this old book, she has if you go to her website, she has a 3D tour right on the front page of her website. It's just, and it's the main thing. And she said, I cannot tell you how many people have called me and told me about that when she put that on the front page of her website. So I can show people statistics and stuff, and like, this is what happened the day we put it on. And if you keep the social media aspect this up, this is what you kind of think, what you can expect. That's what's happening.
So when you put a business on the Grays Lake Village Center Panorama, are you linking directly to their website, or are you creating a single property website with WP3D models, and then from there,
every one of them? Yeah, every one of them I create a WP3D model for.
Okay, so right now you may have some in the map that are placeholders, that it's a direct link to the business, but the plan is to update those with.
Yeah, some of them. Right, there's some of them in there right now that, like right here, this one, this is Great Lake View. This is one of the main businesses in Grace Lake, and we're going to do a drone and everything else for them, but we may not even do it till spring. But so right now I just put their website up there. So when they click on it, all you'll see is their website.
But the plan is to go back to putting up the same consistency. So how about just calling up one of the single property websites for a moment?
Okay, so, well, here's the first one I did. So this is just the WP3D model. And this is the scan. If I I'm not going to, do you want me to click on
No,
it?
that's okay. Not for.
And then every one of them has the same layout. You know, it
Yeah.
has the name, return to Panorama, their logo has to be on it. And then we can put, you know, link to their website. This is a YouTube video I made because we did not do a drone video this one. And then the still pictures, their map, still pictures, and I put this at the bottom of every one. So, and that's what I create for every one of them. Basically.
Cool. Take me off screen share if you would. So one of the things that strikes me on the revenue side, since if I'm hearing you correctly, really what matters is the monthly recurring revenue, and therefore you're willing to probably do a Matterport 3D tour for less than you might do for a real estate agent, for example.
Correct. And quite frankly, most of the little businesses in this town are small stores. 10 or 20 scans on most of them will do the whole, you know. So that's not a big deal. Not a big deal.
So, but I think part of what I imagine is at some point, if it's not already happening, you wouldn't really care where the digital asset came from. So if the business happened to have a Matterport 3D tour done by somebody else, that'd be perfectly fine with you.
Right. I have a fee for that. And if I go into a store or a business and they say, "Oh, can we just use what we have?" I said, "Sure." I just charge a $59 fee to set it up, to create the model and do whatever I have to do. And if I didn't do this scan, I may not be able to create the model. It may have to be done, something a little different, because I haven't run into that yet. But as long as they pay the monthly fee, then and it's usually, I haven't run across it yet, but my guess is I might want to charge a higher monthly fee. But I don't know. I haven't run into that yet. Right now we have a set monthly fee, and that's what we've been charging. We've had I had a discount when we first started. Now it's back to where it was. And so I can fluctuate with that because, like I said, this is a test, you know, so that's how it's working right now.
Do you want to talk about what that monthly fee is?
Right now it's $19.95 a month.
Awesome. So let's see. In my mind, I was doing the math based on $50 a month or $49.99. So
I don't think this is the market for that in my town. It might be in a different area, but let's go do the math, because the numbers are a little bit easier for me with 50. If I do $50 a month, that's $600 a year per business. If I did 100 businesses, it's $60,000. So I think in your case, you're doing maybe about, your goal would be maybe about 20,000 or so by summer, annual recurring revenue of about 20,000. And then maybe in year 2, you're able to add yet more businesses to that. And I could imagine that within a year or 2, you're doing $50,000 or $60,000 at $19.95 a month. Could be. That's my goal.
Yeah. And so I think it's absolutely fantastic for, I mean, certainly the 3 reasons that pop out to me is first, you're a strong believer in monthly recurring revenue, as opposed to I shoot and I'm done. I shoot and I'm done. Monthly recurring revenue. That's the first thing that's amazing.
And the older I get, the more I think about that.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, I think about it all the time. Monthly recurring revenue. The second is that you've actually, in some way, made your competitors potentially partners, meaning you would be delighted if everyone who watched this video parachuted into your town and shot content for you, and then you got the benefit of the monthly recurring revenue. And plus you got your setup fee. So, I mean, how cool is that? Is essentially that, which leads me to the third thing, is you're making your competition irrelevant, because if someone wants to be on this map, you actually own the map. It's not Gray's Lake Village Center that owns it. It's a for-profit business, your company, 3D Roomscapes. And you know, how crazy exciting is that while you're building monthly recurring revenue, you're actually completely making your competition irrelevant, and no one really can compete with you on any basis, on for price or whatever it is. You want to hold there for a second?
Yeah, you hold me 1 second, Dan?
Yeah, that's fine. All right, it's live television. What can I say? Let's see who it is. It's Door Knock Dinners with. Nope. Okay.
No.
It's not the pizza's not arriving.
No.
Okay. But so to my third point is you're making your competition totally irrelevant. Is there's
Right.
really no way to compete with you. I mean, once you start this, it's so hard. You have the momentum. Someone else simply can't come along and say, "Well, we're just going to do it better." No, you're first, and you're going to be so far ahead of them. Plus, you have the relationship with Grays Lake Village Center, both with the mayor and with the head of tourism development.
Right.
So I think that's really awesome. So I think those three things, monthly recurring revenue, you in one sense make photographers, Matterport 3D tour pros, anybody who's in your community, essentially you'd be delighted if they created the content because you're going to get the monthly recurring revenue. So kudos to you. I'd like to talk a little bit about all the tools that you use because I'm going to kind of rattle them off and then maybe you can talk about each of them.
Okay.
So first, we looked at an aerial, and that aerial, I believe you used satellitepanoramas.com to create that, satellitepanoramas.com. And had you been doing drone work, I imagine that could have been a drone shot that you used. But I think this is interesting for any of us that are not drone photographers, that we could actually use satellitepanoramas.com and which charges $149 for a 360 aerial panorama. And because you happen to be a standard member of the We Get Around network, you now can get them for $75.
Hold on. I thought that right now it's $99 with the discount.
They had a price increase.
Right. So now it's $99, if I understand right.
That
made a big difference for me.
Yeah, satellite panoramas are $149 up from $99 for WGAN We Get Around Network Basic Standard and Premium members. Their half price off of the $149 is now $75 instead of $49.
I don't think that's right, Dan, because the last time I tried to order one, I put in the WGAN code and it came up as $99, not.
They may have extended a courtesy and grandfathered you in, Ross. So for anyone new using satellitepanoramas.com, that the cost is $149, which is still a deal. If you went out and you engaged an aerial photographer, it's easy and fast. So how important was having a 360 aerial to this project?
That was key. The first one I did, though, we did with a drone. The sample one I did for the business that didn't like it, that was done with a drone, and it was pretty simple. I mean, when I came up with this idea for the village, I had I didn't want to hire a drone photographer for each aerial, each 360 I needed. So I went to satellite panoramas, but the problem with that was I ordered like 7 of them because I wasn't sure. I didn't know. The problem is I didn't know what they were going to look like. I didn't know if I'd get in the area that I wanted. I didn't know if I would get everything in that I wanted in those. I didn't know what height to go at. I didn't know. So after I did all that, I mean, they were at the time I did it, they were only, I think, $50 a piece for
standard members. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think now I would hire a drone photographer because if you know exactly where you want to go, you might have to buy 3 or 4 of them before you get the right height, the right, exactly where if you have a drone or you're working with a drone photographer, you can see right there and you know what you're getting, and maybe you're going to spend $300 or $400, but you have to do it 4 times. So you got to play with that. You decide what's important, how.
Okay. So let's call it 2 choices. Ordering from satellitepanoramas.com, or if you're a drone photographer, terrific. And if you're not a drone photographer, engage a drone photographer, videographer to shoot the 360s that you need. I would imagine that part of your thinking was, do I do it from an elevation of 100 feet, 200 feet, 500 feet? Am I, a football field away from town center? Am I 2 football fields away? So you have kind of like 2 variables. One is the height and the other is the distance of to create the angle of what you're looking at.
And if you're a drone photographer, maybe you can feel the difference of 100 feet to, you can see, okay, I know I need to be up at 600 feet to do this, but I didn't. The one panorama you see there, that one was done 3 times from different heights to get the one I wanted. So
cool, but a very important image, because it actually is, it sets it's the entrance way to Grays Lake Village Center.
Right.
So that was important. Now, the second thing is obviously shooting Matterport 3D tours, but rather than just embedding the Matterport link, you're using WP3D Model's WordPress plugin in order to create a single property website. That's what you were showing us, that had in fact, maybe you could just call that up or I'll call it up. You want to call it up?
No, I can do it.
Call it up. So using WP3D Model's WordPress plugin to create a single property website, which featured the Matterport 3D tour right there, and has the flexibility to add that text, return to Panorama, to insert the Grays Lake Village Center logo, to put some text in about the particular business, insert a video, either YouTube or Vimeo, boom, insert. If you slow up just for a second, you'll see carrots on the left and right side. So map, if you go right down to the photos, I just want to point out that there's arrows on the left and right side, so that you can look through the different photos that are there. And then if we just scroll down a little bit further, terrific, and then scroll down a little bit more for me, Ross. And then you put in your contact info. And in fact, that actually could be a lead generation box. So you could put fields in there where it actually gets emailed back to you.
Right, it does. I do have the links. So,
okay. But there actually could be fields in there if you wanted that, where people could put in their name and contact info if you wanted.
Yeah, I need to learn a little bit more about
it's a very powerful tool. Yeah,
it is, and you got to play with it a little bit. And the SEO from it is why I use it. The amount of SEO you get from that.
So let me see if I can just summarize the SEO for you. So if you have 100 Matterport 3D tours over the course of a year, and you have 500 views of each of those 3D tours, that's 50,000 page views. And if you're using the Matterport link, you're giving your SEO back to Matterport. If you're using WP3D models on your website, then you're getting 50,000 views that counts to your earned SEO that you're not paying for. It's just the traffic is moving 3D roomscapes up higher. So when someone's searching for Matterport 3D tours, you're more likely to be found in the chaos, because WP3D models is SEO on steroids for you.
Right.
Anything to add on that?
That's key, I think. So I don't know SEO that well. I don't understand it too well. That's not my field. But I do know that exactly what you said is true, that rather than give it back to Matterport, use the WP3D models, and you get the SEO back to your own site. Which
is fantastic. Now let's, if you could take us back to the map, to the full map, return to the panorama. So I think that the third tool, I'm counting the drone is first, satellitepanoramas.com or drone, second WP3D models. The third one is 360 tours. So
correct.
This
is free. Wow.
Pardon?
And this is free.
What's free?
The 360 tours, the membership. I mean, I'm not paying anything.
Yeah, I should clarify for our viewers, 360 Tours for what Ross is doing is probably about $20 a month because Ross is a WGAN, We Get Around Network standard member. Yeah, because you are a We Get Around Network standard member, you're getting the free use of WP3D models, you're getting the free use of 360 Tours, you're getting the half price on satellite panoramas, and we'll talk about some other things probably as we go through this. So, but essentially, if you want to put these kinds of markers on a map, 360 Tours is a platform that lets you accomplish that. So I love that you're bringing together all these tools in order to create a marketing solution for Grays Lake Village Center Historic District. I think as we look at this, if for our viewers, if you are in a vacation destination or a historic district, this is such a perfect solution for hard work up front, but ending up with monthly recurring revenue, making your competition potentially partners with you of content creators, because you really don't care who creates the content. And then third is literally make the competition irrelevant because you own the franchise essentially of what you're doing here.
Let me tell you one of the other reasons I even came up with this idea, and I'm sure a lot of Matterport service providers can relate to this. I don't think there's enough money with real estate agents, quite frankly, to make a living at this. Mm-hmm. At least not in this area. I mean, I'm trying, but I don't know. I don't know if you can make you have to have something else in your bag. And to me, retail is the way to go. And it's just a whole nother avenue of what you can do with Matterport, and why not bring it in, and because you're going to rely strictly on real estate agents. I don't know if you got some guys I'm sure are doing great with that. But I'm finding it hard to get that off the ground. So this seems to be a lot easier.
Yeah, I would describe that as zigzag. When people zig, you zag. When they zag, you zig. So you're doing something where no one else, I can't even imagine that anyone is knocking on doors in Grays Lake Village Center proposing this marketing strategy for the local business at $20 a month. Right. How amazing is that? So where you literally, if you're talking to a real estate agent, you may be talking to other, I know you're about an hour's north of Chicago, but your coverage area includes Chicago. And, it's tough because there are a bazillion Matterport service providers in Chicago that may be competing with you. This is such a great example of what I would call blue ocean marketing strategy versus red ocean. Red ocean is when you got so much competitors in the same space, it's creating a red ocean. It's bloody. And a blue ocean is the water's crystal clear because you have no competition. They're completely irrelevant. They can't even come in and change price. Price has nothing to do with this. So, I just continue to applaud what you're doing here. Let's talk about other, I think in terms of digital assets, photo, video, aerial, floor plans, probably haven't seen an example, but probably. What other digital assets? Am I missing anything?
I don't know. That's most of what I'm offering them. Most of these businesses don't need floor plans because they're small little spaces. Mm-hmm. I just did a furniture store, which is here. He's a little outside the red line, but he's been in town for so long that he's been there 30 years. This little furniture store. But to do a floor plan of this was. Here's a store that from the outside, it looks like it's just a small little store, but when you see how big it is inside and you look at how much, he says he's got so much trouble because people look at the front of his store and it's just a small little storefront. But when you walk in, it's mm-hmm. all high-end furniture. It's all, he doesn't sell anything cheap, that's mm-hmm. for sure. Mm-hmm. But, and I have a question about these I wanted to talk to you about when we're done, Dan.
Ask me now.
Well, he wants these to link to. He gave me the links to link these to, and they're not linking. I put the link to a website that he wants these to go to, where you can actually design your own sofas.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
when I put it on
awesome.
the Matter tag,
Yes, you can absolutely do that within the Matter tag.
well, I know how to do it, but they're not showing up. It's telling me that they can't find the website.
Um,
Even though I tested the website, it works, but when I put it in here, it doesn't.
So let's do two things. When we finish up, stay with me after the program, and I'll show you how to do that. I
Okay.
do believe that the Matter tags are not necessarily intuitive of how to add a link and where that link gets added, but it works. And then for if any of our viewers for WGAN-TV live at 5, if you have the same problem or question, just post it in the forum. I did a training workshop, almost a 2-hour workshop on using Matterport Workshop and Matterport Spaces, and covered Matter tags. And actually, Ross touched on exactly that, because it really is not intuitive where you put the link in a Matter tag in order for it to link.
I think I put it in the wrong spot.
I'll show you after the show.
Okay.
But for anyone else that wants that info, just post a note to the We Get Around forum, and I'll answer that question with a WGAN short story video out of that 2-hour program that covered doing exactly that, Ross.
Actually, just I'm going to close this, but tomorrow we're actually doing a drone video of this place. So,
are you going to fly the drone inside?
No, we're not planning on trying the drone inside because you really don't need to. But we're just going to do the property around side. And I have and one good thing about doing a drone of this property is I have so much footage now of the village. We can create all we need to do is just some footage of the front and the surrounding road, maybe of it. And then we can create, all I need is like 15, 20 seconds of video, drone video of the building itself. And then I can incorporate all the other videos we have of the village assets and stuff to bring it all in together to show it like this is part of Grays Lake Village.
Great. Can you take us off screen share for a moment? There were two other things I wanted to ask you about. Have you given any thought about incorporating Google Street View within the panorama?
Yeah, I do offer that. Originally it was free, but now Matterport's charging $15 or something.
Oh, actually, that's a second question. So we'll start with the second question is when you do your Matterport 3D tour, do you go back and offer the business for X dollars more that you'll publish it to Google Street View?
I didn't, because I was just doing it automatically, but that was when it was free. So now that it's not free, I've got to come up with a whole new, if they want to, that's what I'll do. If you want to be included in Google Street View, it'll be $20 or something, whatever. I'll come up with something.
$20 a month.
Right. Is that what, are they charging a monthly fee for Google Street?
No, Matterport, I want to say charging $19. I may have it wrong on.
I thought it was $15.
I had a little party where I published everything I possibly could to Google Street View before Matterport started charging. So fortunately, I haven't had that question come up. I seem to recall it's $19. It's a one-time charge. But Ross, I would totally encourage you to have a premium plan that for $24.95 or $49.95 includes publishing to Google Street View.
That's a good idea.
One of the things about when you use Matterport to publish to Google Street View, you can also unpublish. So somebody stops paying you for your monthly thing. Oh, I just want to double check with you because it's going to come off of Google Maps as well as come off your website. So,
all right. I didn't think about that. Yeah. Incorporate it into the monthly fee rather than a separate fee. Just add it to the monthly.
Yeah, I'm telling you, anybody else is watching this show is thinking about a one-time. Well, Matterport's charging me $19. I'm going to charge $49 or for that extra. No, well, add some monthly recurring, because it's not going to be published to Google Street View. It's like published to Google Street View and support and maintenance. Because at some point you may have to update something about Google Street View, and they're going to come back and talk to you about that.
Well,
oh, by the way,
here's a problem I have with Google Street View and why that makes me a little nervous about charging a monthly fee. I mean, I like the store This Old Book. I published that to Google Street View. I actually did it with the front door open. I did some scans outside the front door. So Google Street View should be able to go right in and see everything that we did. I cannot get that to appear on Google Street View. I published it through Matterport. It just shows, and you can get into this. You can get into other stores when you're on Google Street View that have been published to them. Not mine, but other ones that people have done, or businesses have done with like a little 360 camera.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't get into the ones I did, and I know how to publish them. It's worked before, but like 2 of them in Grace Lake, I can't get into the doors.
It's two different issues. So the first is you publish to Google Street View. Link to the business. So when someone goes and Googles the business, the furniture store, then on the furniture store, they're gonna be able. I'm not saying go in through maps.google.com. They're going to go in through the business, and when that business listing is going to be the photos, and in the photos for that business, you're going to see a little swirl thing, little 360 in the picture, and when they click on that, they're going to go into your 3D tour, your street view for business. Now, the issue you mentioned is about how do you get from the street to inside the business, and some of us are lucky going out with the 360 camera and going from the street into the business and having success, and others don't. That's a really great question to post in the We Get Around Network forum. Because it is a challenge sometimes. How do you link the two? But I don't believe that you need to necessarily have the success of going from Google Street View, as we think about it, to Google inside the business to be linked in order to be charging extra, because it's off of the business. It's off of the business's profile on Google. So when you click on the profile for that business in Google, you're going to see photos, and those photos are going to include the 360s. When you click on that, you walk through the business. And then at some point, you'll figure it out to say, okay, I'm going to somehow overshoot the street with a 360 camera and walk in the business and finally get it to connect. And there is a little bit of mystery on that, and I don't know.
There's a lot of mystery that I don't get.
And there are some other mysteries. I'll tell you one other mystery that you're going to have is that you might take that furniture store and publish it to Google Maps, and then you find out that Google's letting you walk through the walls, and it gets a little bit weird. And that's why, as a standard member, you get the free use of Panoskin Pro, which is a moderator for Google. It's the way that with the it's kind of geeky, but it's called the constellation, and you can modify the constellation. So you say, I can walk from here to here to here, but I can't walk through that wall. So essentially, you would use Matterport to scan the space, publish it to Google Maps, then use Panoskin to import from Google Street View into Panoskin Pro, do the moderation, make the walking path nice, and then publish it back to Google Street View.
Yeah, I haven't played with that yet. So
it's a free tool, Ross. It's a free tool for you. It's something we anticipated is for those. I mean, if you just shot 360s, you could shoot a 360 camera plus Panoskin Pro and create a Google Street View tour. But for those of us that are shooting Matterport, you go, oh my God, I can't imagine shooting 200 360 images and then figuring out how to link them all. We'd all rather use Matterport, publish to Google Street View, then bring them into Panoskin Pro, make some changes of where the linkages are, and then publish it back. So I personally, I think there's a monthly recurring revenue opportunity for you adding publish to Google Street View.
Like, I'm going to work on it, but that's a good idea. Yeah. Right. I've been a little skeptical because Google Street View has been so iffy for me finding how to work it, and I've asked questions in the forum, and it just doesn't. I don't know. I got to spend more time with that, I guess, and just figure it out a little more.
Or ask some more. But at the very least, pick out pick out the businesses that you don't charge for. Whatever those are. The fire department, the library, the soccer, whatever it is that you're doing. Pick some of them and publish those to the map and learn from there about the linkage question that you're asking about. Maybe practice with Panos. You're not going to get any pushback from the library because you could walk through the wall, because they were just happy to have it on the map. But from your perspective, you'd want to play with Panoskin Pro, make the edits in the constellation, and then publish it back to Google. And then at that point, you'll feel comfortable to say, okay, I'm now ready for anybody that's paying $19.95, is I'm going to charge them, if they want, $24.95 or $29.95. Yeah, for $10 more, you get Google. You get the reach of Google and a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
So okay. But the other part of the Google question I wanted to ask you about is, you can go into Google Street View and grab embed code and put it in your map. So that way I could drive the streets through Grays Lake Village Center, because you put some anchor points to let me fly into Google Street View. You
lost me. I'm sure. I'm not sure.
It's fine. It's fine. My wife usually tells me the same thing. She doesn't understand me, and I just tell her I'm special or something. But in fact, let me see. No, I won't try and do a demo of it. But if you go into maps.google.com and you put in an address, and all of a sudden you fly into Google Street View, there's a little icon that lets you grab the embed code for that spot of where you are in Google Street View.
I've never tried that, so I'm gonna do that when we're done with this.
Now imagine, and if you can't find it, let's do another, off WGAN-TV, we'll do a screen share, and I'll show you where you grab the embed code, the iframe, and now you're essentially taking the iframe. So 360 Tours, in addition to letting you do Matterport, also lets you insert other things like a photo or a video or QPix or iframe. So you can essentially enable people to fly in using iframe. And it's a good question of whether you could do the iframe directly within 360 Tours. I don't know the answer to that question, but the answer is probably yes, which is a marker that lets you take the iframe and just let you fly in. So I can imagine that there'd be places all over your map where people could literally fly into street 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or drive around the boundary or whatever. And so you're giving them a portal to fly in. And I also could imagine, this may be too much, but that you might integrate it into the single property website for the business. So you might have, click here for Google Maps, and it literally, because you can also take a link from Google Maps, doesn't have to be iframe, and it doesn't have to be embed. So you could take the link and then put it in the single property website for a particular business, and it just says, drive by our front door, I don't know, or Google Maps. So literally, if I was thinking about going to that furniture store, I could drive by it ahead of time virtually to make sure that I knew where it was and where's parking.
All right. Yeah, it's a good idea. Something I haven't thought of.
So anyway, I just thought that might be interesting for what you're doing. I don't know if you can get paid some more money for that link. It just maybe be part of the basic package anyway.
Yeah.
At some point, you may figure out enough things to say, this is the basic, but here's the deluxe. Basic is $19.95. The deluxe is $29.95. It includes these additional things.
Right. Okay? Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but that's a good idea.
Okay. Any thoughts on analytics?
Well, like I said, I've been pulling up the analytics just from uh, Matterport Cloud and on the spaces, and that's what I've been showing people, and that's helping. When you show them that kind of stuff, then it makes they see they're getting that many visits in a week. There's got to be something to this. So I don't know if people understand analytics, but if you show them a chart and you show them what happened in that time period, it's right there in their face. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It seems to work. So,
well, I would add something, because right now, certainly the Matterport statistics is a manual process. It's a little bit, for me, it's, I imagine if somebody says, oh, that's great, Ross, could you send that to me weekly? You'd have a heart attack.
Yeah, I just use it I make a couple screenshots and I show people when I go into sell them. I don't really say, okay, I'm going to give you this every week, tell you what.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not designed in an automated way to send a monthly report anyway. But the one thing I wanted to mention, I have not done this myself, but 360 Tours enables you to insert your Google Analytics key. So are you using Google Analytics at all?
I don't think so, no.
Not yet. Okay. So please make a note of this, because when you get off the call, you're going to want to Google Analytics. Google provides free analytics. And so you can put that on your website and you can track your website. So, I mean, it's quite amazing. You know how many people looked, whether they came from Georgia or from London or Australia. Whether they're using iOS or Android, but essentially you can get your traffic so that you know how many people are coming to 3D Roomscapes, your website. But here's the amazing thing, is once you have a Google Analytics account, there's a little key. It's a number. It's a long number. And when you go into 360 Tours, you can copy and paste your Google Analytics number into 360 Tours. And now every location that's on the map, you can track traffic.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be helpful.
Be interesting. The reason I mention it is not so much for you, because personally, I wouldn't sell this based on analytics and number of views and page views and all that. It'll make your eyes glaze over. I mean, I think you're in such a great space to say, hey, for $20 a month, it's not a big deal. Just do it. Sally down at the bookstore is doing it, and she's already telling her, that how many friends come in and say, hey, I looked at that 3D tour on your website. It's crazy.
Yeah, she sold me 3 other ones. So
yeah, right. Okay.
Just her talking to the other business around her. So.
Do you have an affiliate, a friend get a friend program?
I haven't done that yet, but this is such a small town. These people, they're just happy to help people. That's, which is good. But I haven't put that up.
You're buying her flowers, chocolate?
No, but I have an old one in her office, and she has a little light table that she uses to take pictures of books, because she sells all her books and stuff. And I have an old one, not an old one. I bought a really nice one, light table, fiber, plexiglass light table. I had it in storage forever. I pulled it out, I set it up, and I'm going to bring it over to her and say, here, that piece of junk you got, you can have this one.
Okay. Well, normally I wouldn't.
But I know what you're saying.
I wouldn't give a woman anything that plugs into the wall, but
It doesn't plug into the wall. It's just a light table. It's just a plexiglass, to put products on and take pictures of. That's all it is.
Yeah. Okay. It doesn't plug in. It's no lights, power.
Well, she'd have to bring her own lights. I mean, she wants to. Okay. No, this is no power to it. I mean, you bring lights. If you're a photographer, you use it. You bring your lights and you take pictures. Well, she has all her lights.
Take good care of her, because she's already sent you 3 clients. She's sending you.
Oh, I know.
$60 a month. $60 a month. That's $720 a year just from those 3 clients that she sent you. So make sure you're sending her flowers, chocolate, light table, whatever.
I get in trouble this day and age sending a woman flowers and chocolate. I don't know. I'm afraid to get in trouble.
Whatever I'd say go give her a big hug, but that would really be
touching anybody.
Be problematic. So figure out the right safe gift to say Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did want to mention the Google Analytics thing, and it was not so much really for your market, but I could imagine a whole different business model here that's based on pay per click, and tracking all this would be done with Google Analytics that could literally keep track of how many views, and then it's beyond my pay grade for somebody who figures out how to connect that to bill by the click. Because a lot of businesses are used to now, buying Google AdWords by, or whatever it is, by the click or by the number of impressions or whatever it is.
Mhm.
You just might find the data interesting. I know we
Well,
have Mark and
the village did want to have Google Analytics put into on their site, so they are doing that.
you can globally put it on 360 tours one time. Once you connect it once, you're done. And then every time someone is clicking on anything on 360 tours, all those different markers, you'll know.
How would you put it on 360 tours? Would you put it just on that map? Or, I mean, I'm not sure how that would work.
It's done by Ross. It's literally magic. It's done by 360 tours, and all you have to do is paste this multi-digit number into 360 tours once, where it asks for your Google Analytics key, and then you actually see all the data, all the results in Google Analytics.
Okay.
It's cool. I know, Mark, we got you in the virtual studio audience. You don't have a camera there. If you have any questions, if you just want to type out any questions in that chat box, that'd be cool. Ross, anything that we didn't cover today about your project, Gray Lakes Village Center, that you wanted to talk about?
I don't know.
Okay.
No, I can't think of anything else. But if you have any questions,
well, I'd really just like to sum it up, because I think what you're doing there is absolutely amazing. Do you have a name for this project?
Grace Lake Village Center. That's their name. That's the name of the project.
Interactive map. Is there some?
Well, I mean, that's the way when I go out and talk to people about it, then, it's the Grace Lake Village Center, their new interactive map to showcase the community and the business district. So that's how I promote it, but how I talk about it. But
I love it. Okay, so you're, because you've simplified everything here, which is the Grays Lake Village Center interactive map to help promote the community, which raises the boat for everyone. And
exactly.
This is so win-win-win. For the chamber, for the mayor, this is promoting economic development. Maybe it's promoting tourism. It's promoting that Grays Lake Village Center is part of the digital era. It's got an interactive digital map for all businesses to come together and raise all boats. I don't know if the metaphor is right, but I think about it as a food truck. And if you put 10 food trucks in one place and promote that it's food truck day, that each food truck will do more business that day than they would individually by coming together. And I think it's the same kind of thing. Is putting everybody on the map is everybody's a portal bringing people into the map to see their business, and now they can see all the other businesses. So anyway, so to kind of sum up on how to make money with 360 tours, what you've showed us is, yes, I can make some money by shooting up front. I may not carry the full weight, but there's an opportunity for digital asset creation, whether that's Matterport, photo, video, aerial, whatever. And then next is the monthly recurring revenue, which is golden. And while you're setting yourself up for monthly recurring revenue, you are essentially in one way enabling partnership with any photographer, videographer, aerial person, Matterport person, because eventually all those businesses that have all these digital assets are going to want to be on your map. At some point you have to go out and pitch. At some point they're going to be calling you, just like your bookstore lady who's sending other merchants to you to say, hey, this is great. You got to call Ross. You got to be on the map. So I think at some point, every piece of digital asset is going to make it to you, and you're using WP3D models, single property website, to create that page. So there's an opportunity for a page creation fee. But then on this monthly recurring revenue, the piece that I love and what you talked about you can go out and work. You can play in a red ocean where everybody's chasing after real estate agents, or you can be in a blue ocean where you have no competition. And as you've put this business in place, you're creating monthly recurring revenue, and no one can knock you off. They simply can't. I mean, most people try to compete on price. Price is totally irrelevant here.
Right.
They just can't compete with you about creating Matterport or photos or videos, because you're providing something that's way bigger than each of these individual digital assets. It's this interactive map, and you own it. And the only way to get on the map is through your business.
And I would say to other Matterport service providers out there, if you don't live in a community like this, my thoughts are not only just promote doing this on a community scale basis, but think of strip malls. Think of a strip mall that has 20, 30 stores in it and doing just that mall and promoting just that area. Maybe it's only 20 or 30 stores, but there's lots of those around. Lots of strip malls around. So
anything that's that aggregates something. I think of vacation destinations, historic districts. You've mentioned malls, probably art districts.
Exactly. I mean, we don't live in a tourist district really, so
yeah,
we're not a beachfront area.
Yeah,
like
but
there's
certainly a lot of those in our community, and I suspect. I mean, and I don't want to underplay what you do, because this is super hard work. You're doing this from scratch, and it's almost a combination of labor of love and passion. But there's a little bit of pushing the boulder up the mountain until you finally get it to start rolling downhill, and then to have that recurring revenue to continue to last.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Ross, thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
I think you've given the community a gift by helping them think about a new way to make money in their market, and I think that's exciting when you share, and I suspect good things come back to you as a result of doing that, and I think that's I think many of the people in the We Get Around Network forum community who've shared posts and shared knowledge end up having actually good things coming back. And so I should at least point out that 3D Roomscapes, while you are located in Grays Lake Village Center, you cover all the way down to Chicago. You offer Matterport 3D tours, photo, video, aerial through a relationship, but soon aerial that you'll be doing as well. So that's good for all of us to know about you. So thank you all for tuning in. If you've missed any portion of the show, we have been recording it today. We'll post it in the We Get Around Network forum. That's if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, WGANforum.com. WGANforum.com. I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network forum, and thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks.
And Ross, hang on one